Up, we're there. Oh God, hold on. There's so many things not right
Yeah,
now.
every time.
There we go. Okay, good. Hey.
Hey.
Hey. Hey, my show is the show is. Hey, what are we? Here we are. We're 309 subscribers, man, and growing. Thank you, everyone in internet land and the places between. We're excited that you guys are finding us and you're finding the conversation worthwhile. Thank you very much. Ooh, the Dji Ronin 4D came out today. $7,000 asking price.
Wait, what?
The Dji Ronin 4D new camera.
All the people.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. They're going after the action cam market.
How large is that baby?
It's pretty big. Pretty nice looking though. It's got
Physically.
It's like a red
Like the
with a mounted unit on it. It's kind of wild.
Okay.
Hold on a second. Let's see if I can. 4D. Cat's up. Oh yeah. Well, no, here it is. We'll talk about it here in a minute, just because I threw it up on screen. Why the hell not? Hey, I'm gonna say 10 seconds. Why not? Yeah, that's it. By the way, that's the picture of it.
Oh, it's not a drone now.
No. 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, welcome to show Not Your Average Show. Mike Corey here with you. It is October 20th, 2021, and we are back with another live show for you this Wednesday afternoon with lots to discuss. And as you heard us rambling in the opening credits, there is a DJI new camera that came out, which is basically their Ronin 4D. It's got 8K resolution, LiDAR rangefinder. Yeah, it's pretty kitted out, and it looks like this is their first super duper serious entry into not only a gimbaled performance camera, but one that is geared towards actually doing the in-house recording and using some of their lens systems and whatnot. So it's actually pretty cool. But it was just something that I saw. They're using their Zenmuse X9, and it's full frame and has interchangeable lens mounts. So that's kind of cool. And it can use the Leica's M system.
Interesting. Very cool.
Yeah. Hey, good morning, everybody. Oh, good afternoon. What am I saying good morning for? How are you?
I'm doing well. How's it going?
It's a Wednesday, you know.
He's doing.
Mm-hmm.
He's present. Made it to the show. He pressed the button.
I am accounted for. How's that?
Start streaming.
Stream the show
so
now.
At least that's happening.
Although I got notes today, real notes. So stuff that we can talk about. We got a lot to talk about. You're good though? You got nothing else to add about your day, how it's going? No. All right, we're both in that same mood. Here we go.
We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. What are we going to talk to you guys about today? First of all, NASA has moved the Orion spacecraft, where we're going to talk about that. But there's also confirmation from NASA and Boeing that Starliner is delayed. So there's other stuff that Corey's going to talk to us about.
No huge surprise, but
no big surprise. We've been covering it here on the channel, and we haven't seen any motion on it for a while, and this stuff has just popped open. Other stuff. Hey, Google Pixel 6 was announced yesterday, and one of us in the studio might be getting one. It's
possibly.
Not me.
It's Roscoe.
It's Roscoe. And then also, we got another. It seems like every day. What's up, David? How you doing? Seems like every day there is another company jumping into this eVTOL marketplace, and this one's got, it's just called AirEV, the Air One.
Air One.
We're going to talk about that one and how they're targeting this mass market A to B kind of flying that we're going to take a look at. And then finally, if you guys do or do not know, this show is run ironically by a MacBook Pro, not by an Intel-based machine running OBS. And that's because it's portable and it's got a lot of power on it. We use it for remote streaming and whatnot. However, if you do or do not know, Apple earlier this week said, "Hey, here's the new specs on our Apple products for the MacBook Pros." And let me tell you something. Powerful is an understatement. They have literally they have done it, but they also made a few massive changes. The stuff that they had 5 years ago.
Yeah, backstepping.
Yeah,
while going forward.
Bringing stuff back that they had. Party like it's 1999 or something. So we're going to talk about that one too.
Oh, Apple.
And as always, Apple. Look,
it's Apple and Google in the house.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. Their products
NASA
and what they do.
Everything.
We didn't discuss the order.
Nah.
As always. Who's going first? And what do you want to do NASA first?
Whatever.
You're
Sure.
gonna do both NASA's together, or are you doing both NASA's separately?
You mean Orion and Starliner?
Yeah.
It's all one thing.
It is. I know. So
Yeah.
so you want to do them in one?
We'll just
okay.
do that. That's fine.
So
Whatever.
which article do you want up first, though?
Oh, Orion.
Orion. Okay, there you go. That's what I
The
needed
good
to-
news. We'll have the good news first.
The
The
good
good
news.
news second.
Yeah, David.
What did it say? The good news first, or the bad news first? Is that whatever the saying is? I don't know what it is.
People do stuff.
Point being, here we go. You ready?
Wait. No, because David Blade. Oh yeah, eVTOL is going to be huge. Yeah,
Huge.
it is. And then Blade is also jumping in. We know. We'll talk about it because there's other stuff that's going on there
Blade
too.
is undervalued. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. So
So,
let's do this.
True.
I'm gonna hand it over to Corey.
Okay.
And Corey is going to talk to us from Spaceflight Now about what NASA is doing with the Orion spacecraft.
Excellent.
It's all to you, brother.
Amazing. Yeah, the next one comes from Spaceflight Now. It's NASA approves the Orion spacecraft to the VAB, or the Vehicle Assembly Building. So basically, just a recap here. So just earlier this week on Tuesday, the spacecraft, the Orion capsule spacecraft, was moved, and it's over on the Cape. If you're not quite following, like Orion, Starliner, all of the capsules that are in development, Orion is the one that is going well enough. It's been in development for quite a long time. It was part of some other programs. Uses some other spare parts we'll talk about, or previously used part, not spare. But nevertheless, it's been it's left the launch abort tower, the launch system tower of a building that was over on the Cape. It's left there, and it's actually on the way to the VAB. It's already there now, actually, and to be stacked onto SLS, the very large. Well, NASA's next was deep space. Now it's the moon SLS system, and so it's been to be stacked on there. It's actually got its launch abort system already on there. There's the ones that have the 4 solid rocket motors on top of the capsule in case they need to get off quickly.
Right.
So basically, what this is all part of Project Artemis, and the first, if you're not following this stuff, Artemis 1's going to be uncrewed. Artemis 2 will be crewed to go around the moon, and then Artemis 3 will be launching to go back to the moon, and then actually the Orion spacecraft on Artemis 3 will rendezvous with the whatever it's going to look like, SpaceX's Starship lander, moon lander, however we still got to get there with them, sure, of course, but it's set to rendezvous with them, and then that vehicle will take them down to the lunar surface. So that's pretty cool.
There you go.
But anyway, long story short, there you go. So Orion is actually making some good progress there. Set to be going probably in the next few months. And then it looks like they said that the crewed Artemis 2, the crewed one, wouldn't be going until probably late 2023. Set to have 3 NASA astronauts on board with 1 Canadian astronaut. And then
darn those Canadians.
The Artemis 3, but obviously a bit later after that. So
right.
That's pretty good news. Any thoughts on that, Artemis? You can be sure we are blanking out of space in the calendar for whenever SLS is to be launched, because we're going to be over there.
Yep.
Going to be something to see either way.
Yeah.
Something very cool
so
to
I guess
see. So we're looking at that.
The thing for me is, hurry up and wait. Right. I guess it's like.
Yeah. I mean,
the engines got there almost 4 months ago, 3 months ago, right? They arrived, or maybe even 5 months ago. I have to go back and look at the date that we talked about them. We followed this from day one with the testing and the conclusion of testing with SLS. We thought that they weren't going to have a customer, but they still have this one system that they're ready to use in order to go do the moon missions.
Yep.
Another article that we could talk about in conjunction with that is that now they're trying to force a selection to the lander portion of that, but that's something else we're going to talk about briefly, maybe later on.
Okay.
But hurry up and wait. That just seems to be like a lot of the space programs right now. All of them have experienced some level of delay, with the exception maybe of the Dragon capsules, right? All the rest have pretty much had a little bit of a delay in them. So there's that.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the next one?
Yeah. So that was some good news, of course. Orion, we're keeping an eye on that, of course, and excited about that. The other one part down there, that both of the links are down below, but the next one is NASA and Boeing confirm that the Starliner capsule is now set to not fly until at least the first half of 2022. If you guys remember, the Starliner was literally on the pad, hours away from its first test there, and they canceled it, scrubbed it, because some of the valves, and now we know that some of the oxidizer valves were not functioning properly. And actually, this just a few days ago, or I guess it was just now as you're watching this, just Tuesday, Boeing announces that they still actually haven't identified the root cause of 13 of the 24 valves. So they don't even know. They haven't publicly said why at least half of the valves actually were malfunctioning. So nevertheless, they've taken a bunch out. They've sent some of them over to Marshall Space Flight Center to be examined there, try to figure out what's going on. But nevertheless, there you go. More not good news for Boeing, as it would be. But Boeing's had a hard go at it the past few years, and we know that Starliner's had some issues there too, and it really just continues. It was when I saw this first pop up on my feed, I was like, okay, cool, Starliner news. Maybe we know what's going on. No, we don't.
Yeah, we don't.
So, and actually, now that this is on my mind, I remember I didn't give you the article, but I think I told you that they also made an announcement. I think it was like a few weeks ago, where they moved some of the astronauts that were set to be Starliner astronauts.
Yeah.
They moved. They didn't make a press release, but they just took them off that launch schedule for Starliner and put them into SpaceX's.
Oh well,
remember I told you about that.
You sent me an article, and then we didn't bring it up on the show. I remember you talking about it.
Yeah. So anyway, that's also going on with Starliner.
I think my comment was, this only means further delays for the Boeing system. And look, the other part of it is that like there's so much that these companies do want to get done in taking part in their part of the contractual obligations of being part of the space program, right? So when Boeing and Dragon were selected, SpaceX were selected, it was exciting because this was going to be their venture into a new capsule design, a whole new philosophy on space flight, which is the ergonomics were improved. The way people were going to make the trip was still the same traditional, rocket up into space, but the entire function and form of the process, which has been more streamlined since first initially achieved so many years ago, it looked like it bode well for Boeing being as successful, if not taking advantage of their previous successes and joining, SpaceX in this endeavor. And Boeing struggled. It is, unfortunate because we know that they're just as capable of doing the mission. And we know that also being a contributor here to the economy in the Space Coast, it's important that they get their feet wet and finally get their missions moving forward. I can only imagine that they get this done, hopefully 2022, that they're, back online and everything else is moving forward. That would be the best thing.
Yeah, get some successful launches. I mean, I know that the second attempt they had one that didn't make it up to orbit, so it's been some software as well. So it's looking for some good news for.
Yeah, and let me clarify. A lot of times we're talking about stuff here on the channel that is hype, right? That hasn't flown yet, hasn't been successful, or comes from a company that's trying out, a new place in the market. Whereas this is Boeing, right? We know they can get this done, and we know that they're probably obviously shaking their heads at the fact that they've got this valve oxidation, issue that's going, or the oxidation valves issue.
Right.
So for them, that's why I feel a little bit differently about it, which is, hey man, they got to get the bugs worked out. Maybe it's a bad supplier. Maybe the valves just underperform under certain pressures. Who knows? But it's just unfortunate. So hey, that's my thoughts.
Yep. We'll obviously keep you guys up to date. We also want to see, like we talked, all these competition, all the stuff fly on from the coast where we're at here. So it's all exciting. We just hope that Boeing gets some good news to us soon.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that would be great.
Other than that, so please like, share, subscribe. You guys know the deal. We'll try to keep you up to date with everything aerospace, aviation, science, and tech as we get to stuff. So thanks so much.
Thank you guys. All right, awesome. Thanks for the update. All right, let's see.
Where you want to go? Where are you going?
I don't know yet. I want to go. You know what? I'm going to go with Apple. I think.
Okay.
I think I'm going to go with Apple only because it's just something that's it's a little easier to digest because, well, the wait has been long, almost 5 years for users of Apple products, especially their most potent laptop, the MacBook Pro, for them to finally be heard by the manufacturer. And Apple delivered to a degree. Apple has now turned around and really made good on the promises of making the MacBook Pro as powerful as the M1 chip would allow, and really giving this thing some guts that everyone knew was going to finally be a decisive moment for Apple. However, they also brought back a little bit of the past, which people were clamoring for, to see some of these devices feature things that have been long lost, which are especially none other than, well, MagSafe or an SD card slot. On top of that, they've kept the headphone jack and they've actually made it able to drive really super high power fidelity headsets. They've also turned around, they put in this time all around, they put in 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports, which is great, right? They also included an HDMI slot, which people thought was awesome. So now they got that on board again, because this stuff was all there before in the previous generation and it disappeared. And I say again, with the caveat, right? But 120 hertz display, which is great. It was a 1080p webcam, which I think actually undersells a lot there, because for such successful camera stuff that they've got, they should have been better at that. They're now going up to 32 cores in the CPU, and they're saying that the graphics performance with this especially is going to be on par with a 3080.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And the battery life is supposed to be stellar. And forget about the fact that the onboard chipset, the chipset itself, is got to be some of the fastest throughput memory that has ever been seen in a computing device available to consumers, right? And it's a beautiful chip design. The M1 has been heralded for its ability to pretty much crush the competition, like the i9 Intels that were just 2 generations sooner or earlier, which powers this very show.
Yeah, exactly.
But it comes with one thing that I'm really surprised at. And they did all this great stuff. There's not going to be any more dongles. There's not going to be a lot of things that you won't be able to do with this thing out of the box when you're traveling. They've given it the battery life to really suit it. So the new 13-inch is going to have like 17 hours of battery life, right? The 14-inch is going to have 11 hours of battery life. And then up to 17 hours if you're just doing movie playback. And the 16-inch is going to have up to 14 hours of battery life, and 21 if you're just watching movies.
Right.
But you're going to have to work yourself around one big problem. Even though that they're using a micro LED screen display and they put a 1080p camera in it, it's got a notch in the screen, which I don't know about you guys, but when I'm going to pay and they're going to ask for a hefty price tag for these laptops, right, to be top of the line consumer models, couldn't you have figured out a way around the notch? Maybe, I don't know, man. So what you're thinking over here?
Well, I mean, so I guess just to say, as you guys see me on the show here, I am using a laptop. This is actually Mike's laptop.
We have two, we have 2 MacBook Pros.
I'm using his MacBook Pro, a smaller one. At home, I use Intel machines, regular PCs, and we'll get to it. I'm on Android as well. That's the next article. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I'm not. Where I'm going is I'm not as invested in the Apple ecosystem as yourself. And I know when you're in the Apple ecosystem, everything works really well together, but not always outside of that. And I guess where I'm going with that is this article talks about a lot of things they upgraded, but a lot of things they brought back that used to be there. And I know, using actually my wife, she had some Apple laptops in the past, and I really thought it was pretty interesting. The electronic charger, the magnetic charger. Sorry, you just
MagSafe.
You pop that, because you put it up there, it charges it, but obviously if something happens and the cord gets tripped over or whatever, you don't destroy the laptop port or anything, which is awesome. And I kind of wonder why nobody else did that. And of course, you can go on Amazon and get little dongles for your phones or whatever that do that. But and then they took it away and put it in. And as you guys know, they put the actually I was gonna say too, the LED touch bar here, all these
that's gone too.
buttons, that's gone too.
Yeah.
So I have to say, at least with me myself, when I'm in the browser, I like it, but then there's some random weird stuff. Like if I'm just in the browser and I want to flip between tabs, you can do that real quick with this touch bar. But then you go over to our setup page in iCloud. We use Notes and we share notes in there. And you go to that page and it's gone.
This is true.
You know that? Then it's showing me words and stuff.
Yeah, no.
Because
look,
I know it's contextual. I get it.
It is.
Right, but since along with that same thing, right? Since there's not actually actual buttons there, you have to look down and see what you want to touch and then touch it. Well,
touch it.
I find that not as useful as I'd hoped, because I couldn't just move the mouse and touch it on the screen.
Right.
I mean, anyway, I'm
all right. So check this out.
I mean, so yeah, what do you think, man?
This is our current setup. So anybody who wants to know what I'm looking at right now, this is our current setup. There's the Lumix GH5 over the LG 4K monitor. We got the MacBook Pro to the left side, which is the 16-inch. Then we got the 12.9-inch iPad Pro, which has got the M1 processor.
And the Jurassic Park cup.
Yeah, and the Jurassic Park cup.
Can't forget that.
So you got to see that one, right? So that's basically what our setup is. So this show is completely driven. There's an Elgato Pro dock behind it, which drives the show. However, one of the things that I do want to bring up which is really, really interesting to me, is that Apple is touting the screen on this one. They're saying, look, we're going 120 hertz ProMotion. It's going to be fantastic. Everybody's going to be real happy with it. And we're going to cut over to their website for a second here because they show you every beautiful angle of this. They're saying that it's supercharged. It's got the Liquid Retina XDR display. They're telling you that it's got the faster CPU cores. It shows all the beautiful ports that are actually connected now, which is beautiful. They're telling you about the M1 Pro. Awesome. But look, this first screen, no notch.
See that?
Okay. The next one, no notch. The next screens, no notch.
Literally not in their PR.
It's not in there. It is, but it's at the way bottom though. When we could do this all day, they say no notch. Even better, they're talking about how fast it's going to be. They're talking about even the better it's going to have 6 speakers in it. They're talking about having the best audio ever out of any laptop.
Very good.
Very good. Still talking about XDR, no notch. Keep going, keep going. They're talking about the screen. And we come to the 1080p HD camera, and there it is. Without further ado,
background.
The notch, right?
On a dark background.
On a purplish.
You could legit miss.
You could almost miss it, right?
So, I mean, for me, I've never had a device with a notch, so I'm partially. I understand that people don't like the notch.
Right.
In chat, guys, watching the video, is the notch that big a deal to you? I mean, I don't know. That's why I'm asking the question. I say this too, knowing like if you have a notch on the screen, how does the mouse function with the notch? Does the mouse like go behind it, or does it like bang up against it and you have to go around it? Because I think that would be annoying.
I don't know, but it's just interesting to me.
I mean, again, let us know in the comments. Like, what do you think of the new laptops? What do you think of the upgrades? What do you think of things they brought back? And then of course the notch.
What do you think about? Because look, I don't necessarily think that losing the touch bar is the worst thing in the world. However, I have found in my workflow that the touch bar works really, really well. There are workarounds though for non-touch bar devices, and what they, basically for editing and things that.
Oh yeah, those are.
I have other hotkeys that I can attribute to some of my workflows that I use, right? Which are nice, which take away some of the functionality of the touch bar and what you need it for. So there's other things you can add on. But where I'm really going with this is they always make like 10 steps forward sometimes in a generation of Apple products. And then they add something where you just shake your head and go, really? You reduced the bezel size by like 35%, but you left the notch.
Yeah, sure, why not?
And, it is what it is. Let's see how the user world responds. So let us know in the comments below what you think about the new products. And we're going to address a comment here by David. He says, keep your eyes on Apple buying an eVTOL company in the future. I have a hunch that this will happen, and I think the company they're going to buy is Lilium.
Aesthetic-wise, I can see it. I can see it there with this, visualize it. Lilium's German-based company. I don't know. No, I don't know. Lilium's got a lot of backing already that they've raised. They're in with a lot of different things. They have already talking to vertiports. They've got vertiports going in different locations.
Here.
Yeah, there's one actually near here as well. I don't know. What do you think? I'm not sure. I can see it like visually, but I don't know. I'm not sure.
So here's the thing: as a money-making move in their verticals and what Apple brings to the table. Apple brings to the table obviously M1 Silica, which is them making their own chips, having their own interfaces and things of that nature is great. Apple is probably the #1 used product inside of cockpits today as an electronic flight bag. Okay, basically
non-panel mounted.
Non-panel mounted, right? So iPads have literally replaced what pilots used to drag around with them in a separate case with tons of information, including airport information, approach information. It allows you to communicate with company and literally, have a two-way communication with them open at all times when necessary on the ground.
Right.
So Apple products do have that part of aviation pretty much lock, stock, and barrel for the last 10 years. That has been almost their own domain, right?
That's something on the person though, right?
Right. But
didn't we know what the avionics are on the Lilium?
Well, that's the thing.
Aren't
so
they
in
Garmin's?
Which one?
Or are there Honeywell's other places?
No, Honeywell's other
Garmin's
places.
and Lilium?
I think Lilium might be going with Garmin. So I'm trying to find out if it really aligns with their verticals. But as far as their verticals with green technology and aligning with mobility and things of that nature, I'm still waiting for the Apple Car. Unless they think that it's not worth it to be in the Apple Car market and they're going to go straight to the eVTOL market, I don't know. That's a really good question. Something that's worth reviewing because let's face it, they have the money to make the purchase power that, they have the purchasing dollars. So it's not like they don't have capital that they could invest into other places. And Lilium could very well be on their, on the top of their list. Just not sure how they would fit it in with their verticals at the moment. So,
it looks like back in June, there's a press release from Lilium there with Honeywell currently then.
Okay,
which
so
we did some stuff on Honeywell recently.
Yeah, we did.
Well,
Their new glass cockpit is going to be amazing.
Yeah, so I'm not sure whether other than past like just investment purchases.
Yeah, just raw investment.
Where does Apple fit in? Because I don't know.
Good question. Good question. Hey, David, you know what? We'll keep our eyes open for it. And if you got anything else that can support that, let us know by all means,
totally
because we're totally interested in taking a look at that by far if Apple's going to make that type of move. Okay, let's wrap this one up. Again, like, subscribe, follow. Let us know what you think in the comments below. So much more to talk about with the Apple and their products. They're always releasing something. They also released new ear pods, which is nice. $179, but they're lacking the noise canceling of the Pros. But yeah, we'll see. But emphatically, one thing. This once again puts the MacBook Pro on top of pretty much every other computing device out there that is portable. So it is what it is. All right. Corey's going to take the floor now, and he's going to talk to you about his personal passions in that of the Google Pixel 6. What are you laughing at?
just the dichotomy here.
Of course, but because I had to. Hey, man, you got the hole.
What?
You don't got the notch. You get the hole.
Wow.
What?
Moving along. So, are you ready?
I'm ready. I was ready a while ago.
So, yeah, the next one is next little segment is about the Google's announcement of the Google Pixel 6. So, just yesterday, at the time of this filming, of course, Google had a little webcast as well, just not unlike Apple did earlier this week as well. And I think Samsung's have one later. We may also take a look
Oculus.
at.
There's a whole bunch. They're all over the place.
But nevertheless, they unveiled the headline of the event was the Google Pixel. The next Pixel phone, the Pixel 6 and the Pixel 6 Pro.
All right.
So there's a whole bunch of information about these. If you're into the Android ecosystem, the advantage of the Pixel phones really, and some of the downplay actually is some of the reasons that people don't like Android. It actually is a lot of times the device that they've experienced Android on. So I've heard a lot of people say they don't like Android for various reasons. If you can get them to actually talk about why they might like it, it's not responsive, or I can't do this, I can't customize that. And then you can ask them what device did you view it on. It'll invariably be something like a Samsung or some other device. And I've had very little people ever tell me that they have a Pixel phone or a Nexus phone, as it would be.
Very little people, or
no, not physical.
Oh,
very
okay,
few.
sorry.
How about very few people, right? The idea here is that the Nexus phones in the past and now the Pixel phones, you get a vanilla experience with Android, or basically an Android that is just Android from Google. Right? There's no overlay from Verizon or Samsung or whoever else that you get the device on. It's just Android, and so that's the advantage really of the Pixel phones is that, well, especially now with the Pixel phones now, and I'll talk about some reasons, but they are able to give you updates a lot quicker because it's straight from Google. So if there's an update, you get it. There's no middleman. There's no Samsung or Verizon or anybody to test it on their silicon. It's straight out the door. If there's an OS update, like itself, like the next version of Android, you get that pretty quickly as well. And of course, there's very little bloatware because it's just Android. There's nothing else on there. It's just Google products. So if you're already invested in the Google ecosystem, Apple versus Google, if you're already into Gmail and their calendar and everything else that is Google, then you'll probably have a good experience or the best experience possible with an Android experience on a Pixel device. Anyway, long story short, they announced the Pixel 6 yesterday. The big part there, probably, I'll just say a few more and I'll pass it over, but there's two versions, the Pro and the regular 6.
Right.
The regular Pixel 6 starts at $600. So and they're not saying that's a flagship, but it's a mid to high end phone, which is pretty good, pretty decent these days.
Right.
And their base version of the Pro, which is their flagship phone, that starts at actually $900, which actually, if you're gonna get a quote flagship phone for less than $1,000 now these days, as it just happens to be, it's pretty decent.
Pretty good.
It's pretty good. And the big thing there to really look at, and then like I said, I'll be done, is the silicone itself. They're not getting it from Samsung anymore or other manufacturers. Are using their own in-house chip called the Tensor chip, and it really leverages their power in AI and does a whole bunch of cool stuff. And it's a whole hour to talk about all that. So I got the links down below. Really good camera on the back of it. It's got 4 cameras on the back. One's a 50 megapixel camera. So they're really trying to get back in the game against Apple and the iPhone with camera game. And yeah, so that being said, I did end up I had been saving up, kind of ready for this. So I did get the Pro. It's not here yet, of course.
What color did you get it?
I'll bring it in and show you guys when I get it. I gotta say the colors were like they have names for them, but basically a gray, like a metallic gray, a metallic black, and then this like they call it kind of a sort of sunny. It's like yellow but kind of muted. I end up just getting the metallic silver because I don't know, just that's what I was feeling at the time. So
gotcha.
Yeah, there you go. But anyway, man, what do you think? I mean,
here's what I first think.
So,
the first thing I think,
the chip and all the things that change.
Well, first of all, Apple's they're on their 15th generation of their silicon on their actual phones. So look, it's good to see them that they're actually battling in there. 50 megapixels is fantastic. Let's see what kind of actual augmentation they have on the actual camera itself to bring it up to on par, because a lot of people do say that this is the one place where Apple excels. So as far as coming out squarely and looking at the camera design and saying 50 megapixels right here to start with, obviously gives them a massive advantage, right? One thing that I will say is that for a long time now, one of my biggest pet peeves of phone designs is that phones have been gotten bulkier and less easy to deal with because they're designed to be used with a case now with offset camera notches. And the fact that they're going to go with a full-fledged bar across the camera, the camera notch system here, which means that when this sits on your desk, it's going to be at a slight angle. And it's pretty much designed that you're going to put a case on it that's going to flatten that out. I wish we would just start designing phones in a way that we understand that all these exotic materials like glass and everything else goes away.
Yeah.
Because we're going to put them in a case anyhow. And except for the shiny bits not being able to be seen, because look, oh, you can see the glass back of my phone through my clear case, right? I'm over it. Give me a plastic cased phone, because it really doesn't make a difference to me anymore in the heft or the physicality of it. I generally run a case anyhow, because just like everybody else, I could drop it and I'm a little bit clumsy. But they do make them, now that you have to put a case on them, you even keep them flat, which I'll give them a lot of credit for that. What's the back of this thing made out of?
It's glass. It's a glass. Yeah, it's a unibody aluminum frame with glass. Obviously, the latest Gorilla Glass on the front. I can't remember what they call it, but it's supposed to be obviously better than the other versions of Gorilla Glass. But then on the back, it's a glass back too. So yeah, it's the same old problem as you mentioned. I myself, there was a time where I never had an iPhone. Well, I mean, I tried some stuff, but I also went through a phase where like I don't care what it's made of. Give me really great inside, like the components.
Right.
And actually, well, this is a whole nother thing, but actually I was on another kick too, where I was like, make it like interchangeable. Or if I want an upgraded camera, I could take it out and put a new, better camera on. But there was a few endeavors where they had that for a while, but that never caught on.
No, I get it.
But anyway.
And David has a comment in there, and we'll get to your other one about the electric stuff, but he says that the future glasses are going to be on your phone. And I get that, but here's the difference, right?
Yeah.
Look, Apple, for the first time in their Pro series, now they've given you 120 hertz, and they give you a variable refresh on their phone. Okay, I'm not sure what the refresh rate is. I think I saw 90 hertz was their high.
It's 10 to 120.
10 to 120. Okay, on that variable as well. So look, we're getting all the things there. You could take a flagship to a flagship right now, put them back to back, and you're going to see lots of comparable things. Some things that really interest me is the fact that Apple's got less display resolution on their screen, so there's going to be a little bit deeper pixel depth here for the Google Pixel 6 and the Pixel 6 Pro. So it looks like they're going for 512 PPI versus a 460. Whether the human eye can actually determine that, really not that big of a deal. They're slightly bigger in their screen size, so that's a good thing. If you're going to carry it in your pocket, at least you get yourself a little bit more, working space.
Right.
One place where I see that there's going to be a difference is if you're going to be an on-the-go content producer, where some place that Apple kind of targets their products at is the video capture, which is now Apple is claiming HDR video recording with Dolby Vision at up to 4K at 60 FPS. Caveat, you need to get something bigger than the 128 gigabyte version in order to get that access for it to record directly in those modes with Apple ProRes, right? So that's one of the things that's out there. And the fact that they're giving it enough, RAM. And so, worthy competitor. I think that there's a lot of great things to like about the Google products. They are coming out swinging again. It is arguable whether or not Apple's got the best handset in the marketplace because it sells well, but it's always usually a couple of features behind in model years about what other people are putting out in the marketplace. So they go with a very sure product, which is a little different. But I'm going to be interested to see how well this one does.
It actually does 4K at 60 HDR as well.
It does. It does 60 HDR. Okay, good.
Yeah, which is good. Yeah, which is good.
The
But
Dolby-
again,
see-
like all that, what to see, which I'm really interested to see. You got the 13?
I don't have the 13 yet. My 13 is coming, so
cool.
that's
All
the
right.
thing. But
Actually, that's great. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna have we'll look at them.
we'll have a little bit of a showdown because the difference here is that now one of the things that is exciting to me having the ability to record HDR and Dolby Vision is that my MacBook Pro can still do a quality crunch of 4K video in things as simple as iMovie and in Final Cut Pro. So it'll be interesting to see how that really transfers over towards what's in your pocket as having the ability to record quality video. But it looks like 50 megapixels also makes me jealous, where I go 50 megapixels, that could be a lot.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, you can see some professionals in like recording actually using mobile devices sometimes now, depending on the shot and whatnot. So I'm also interested to see what the Pixel can do, when it's in my hand and really put it to use out in the real world. And yeah, we'll bring it on the show and we'll show a difference between the two. Happy to. That'd be super cool.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
So hey, give them the outro and then.
So thanks so much. Please like, share, subscribe. Obviously, you guys know that. But down in the description below, or down in the comments, let us know what you think. Are you Google? Are you Apple? Are you excited about the Pixel? Didn't know it even was a thing. And I've seen some numbers. Only about 1% of all people that have an Android have a Pixel. So yeah, it's super. Well, not super, but pretty rare. It's pretty low adoption rate. But again, like I said,
they're making the right move.
I think that it's the best device for Android. If you want Android, that's your best chance.
I think a lot of people that are on the OnePlus bandwagon would probably disagree with you because they've always
they also are on there, but I know they had some issues. But yeah, I agree. On OnePlus also had some good ideas with theirs.
So just
for
saying.
Android.
Right.
But they had their own OS as well. So
gotcha.
Anyway.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. So let us know what you think in the comments below. David had another comment in there. Said, "What's another way for Apple to get into electric vehicle space? Going up against the Tesla is pointless. They won't win, but they can corner eVTOL.
Electric vehicle on the ground.
Yeah.
Because we thought they kind of were working on their car.
But it hasn't come to fruition. But David has an excellent point.
Yeah,
I like what he's got to say there because the reality of it is that if you're forward thinking, I don't think there's no one that can challenge Tesla. I just don't think that there's going to be people that are going to make inroads into the same marketplace as Tesla. And when I mean marketplace, meaning you're buying into the Tesla ecosystem, you're buying into their superchargers, you're buying into the Tesla name as already being a luxury brand that has got to, its roots in electric. That's literally what Tesla's become. And they are being able to downscale their brand to fit the marketplace as necessary. Everybody else has kind of got to come up, and I see that as being an argument. But people are like Lucid are attacking Tesla at the exact same strategy points, which is starting with a four-door powerful sedan and reaching out for that marketplace. And people like Rivian are attacking them right in the truck market, which they don't have a space right now. So those two competitors I see as being probably primary.
And I know as far as, road going cars, sedans for passenger travel, I mean, there's also other things on the road like big semi trucks. And we know the Teslas have got some works on the semi truck, and we've seen some, and they have it, but it's not out yet, right? It's not fully fledged and out on the roads as far as being used. And there are some other companies that are doing trucks, so that's another possible. Again, there's things like battery density and range and how much can you actually tow with the thing. Fine.
Right.
But that's another place where Tesla hasn't cornered the road going market. But again, back to his point about cornering eVTOLs. Yeah, eVTOLs, as you know, guys on the show, we're covering eVTOLs because it's a new space, a new sector, and it's kind of the Wild West, right? There's still a whole lot to find out about eVTOLs, and it's a brave new world, as you might say. And
it's a whole new world.
Apple's, we don't know. Maybe Apple's got something up their sleeve, so we'll see.
We'll see. It's exactly. And we're about to talk about another one, so I'm just going to take the floor right now.
Yep.
And we'll move forward with one more. This one's coming from the Air Atlas. New Atlas. Air Atlas. Well, here's what's so funny is that if you're going to pick a name for an eVTOL company, These guys are just simply put, they're called AirEVTOL. And that's it. They're targeting mass production of basically a point-to-point aircraft called the Air One. And this one comes to you from New Atlas, and it's really not like, I would say, groundbreaking in their approach, because they're saying, hey, it's going to fit in your garage. It's going to have collapsible wings, which is fantastic. It's a very pretty design, which has got, basically the rotors built into the wings, which very, very nice in actually its aesthetics and how it's going to perform. However, there's a couple of caveats, as there always is, which means it's a wing design, and it appears to have a pusher prop, which no real problem there. So that's nice. It'll do some basic flying. They have a full-scale prototype, which they're working with, and they're already working with the FAA to get G1 certification, because there is a problem. There isn't a classification for this aircraft to exist yet, so that's a problem. One thing that they do have to work around.
Good thing they got that going.
Yeah, good thing, because the other thing is they only got 110-mile range. They're talking about a cruise of 155 miles an hour, which is about 134 knots, which might put them in that perfect space at close to V&E, where the ride is fairly smooth for this type of vehicle with those with the expectations of point A to point B flying.
Right.
Okay. And the only thing that I look at this and go, all right, where's the problems, is they're working on what's called a fly-by intent system. And when you talk to me about fly-by intent, I will tell you there's been hundreds of times that I've intended to put an aircraft somewhere, and the wind has come and told me that my intentions are incorrect and decided to move it someplace else, and I've had to quickly intended to move it the other direction by forcefully putting some control inputs there. So I'm wondering about what their stability systems will be offered and on the aircraft. But first take, what's your point? What's your feeling?
First take, looking at this, I do think it's an attractive design for what it's trying to do. Right, they're trying to go with, let's say, a bit more typical propulsion system with just rotors. They're double stacked, and there's some around the vehicle. There's basically 4, 8 as it would be. So yeah, I do think it looks pretty nice. Again, keeping in mind they're targeting this as a personal transportation vehicle. So I'm just trying to imagine it being implemented. How's it going to be implemented? And if their target market is Joe Public, with the funds, of course, Joe Public with the capital to invest, or not invest, but to purchase one of these, it kind of harkens back to some of the other problems we have with some of the commercial aviators who are trying to do eVTOL operations. Like where do you actually? And I actually told this Mike too. It's like, okay, it fits in your garage, awesome. Fits in your garage, oh, that's so cool. So I roll it out, I unfold it, I lock it, I turn it on, and does its tests, and it makes sure everything's ready to go. And then I go to take off. Okay, I don't know what this thing's gonna weigh, but it's gonna weigh, let's say 1,500 pounds minimum. So it's got to make enough thrust to lift that. So you're blowing that volume of air, or that mass of air, out into the neighborhood.
Right.
So that's gonna disturb some people, I'm sure. But then, okay, you take off. Where are you going with this? You could go. I mean, they actually have on here. They showed a distance you could go and how much time you could save, right? And it was up in New York, and it showed the distance you could save. So are they thinking you would go like to the office? Maybe it was a landing pad of the office, which is pretty cool.
Well, hey, I know where they're looking. Yeah,
right. But then, and there's all the other things too. Of course, they talk. What kind of certification you need. Not something that's insurmountable. If you need a sport pilot license or something,
right? Because
it's personal use, fine. But then, adverse weather. How do we make sure people have enough training to know when they shouldn't be using this and should get in their car? And all these other outliers that suddenly rear their head when you talk about aviation out in the actual real world. So and yeah, the flyby intent, as you see in the article, the link down below, it just says the company is working on its quote flyby intent control system designed to make flying this thing as easy and accessible as possible. So is that meant to be an automated, mostly automated system? Well, you'd say, hey, I need to go to wherever, and it just so
let's digest this, because I think that's part of what they call their main knob. Okay, this is their breakdown from their website. Okay, they have the safety sport seats, which I don't know how safe you could really talk about something, because it looks like once you put the canopy over, your front legs are pretty much just covered by Lexan, which is whatever it is. It is, right? It does come with a stick, which is great, specifically designed for single hand full operation. Okay. There's a main screen, there's a personal screen, and there's footrests. So they're a little short on that because we're not really digging into it in too deep a detail, right? But here's the other part that to me is very interesting. And
There
you
it is. Yeah,
mentioned,
that's what I was talking about.
you were talking about this, right? So look, if you're talking about your customer being catered to by being the ultra wealthy with the ability to escape traffic and not want to get on a train to go back and forth for their commute to Manhattan or some other overly congested area where traffic is a problem.
Yep.
Guess what? There's air traffic there too, including daytime helicopter air traffic, including the one other thing that this is the Northeast corridor along.
A lot of airports.
Okay, a lot of airports, a lot of, including one of the busiest, which is Westchester County Airport, which is probably the busiest county airport outside of the one in Van Nuys, California. So here's the other part that's really interesting to me. This is weather territory where 6 months out of the year, you get such a mixed bag of weather between fog, rain, ice, all sorts of different weather conditions that are going to be thrown at this thing that I can guarantee you that you're going to probably 9 times out of 10 be like, well, the thing is grounded from like, I don't know, November to possibly April. And then let's not even talk about the fact that you get a nor'easter, you get winds. What's the maximum wind capacity that this thing can work at, which is at 35 knots? Is it grounded because it can't hover long enough in order to land? Because that's going to sap battery strength even more than anything. There's lots of questions. And lastly, it's the classification by the FAA in which this aircraft would fall into that does not exist, nor does the classification of airman, meaning the type of person that's going to have to be certified in order to fly it. Is this a fixed wing pilot? I don't know. Is this a helicopter or a rotorcraft pilot? I don't know.
There's not a category.
There's not a category for this thing to exist in yet. So you could be talking 3 to 4 years before this even exists as something that they could sellably package in the way that they're trying to present it. So you're working yourself into an early adapter case. That's best
certainly,
case.
and that's certainly the case. If you look at their website, they do have a bit of a timeline. They say Q1 2021, so basically earlier this year, full scale. So they do have a full scale. Well, they say they have a full scale device somewhere. And they're saying 2022, Q1, Q2, manned and hover flights next year. So I'm hoping we see more about this. I think it's quite intriguing. You know, we see a lot of eVTOLs on the channel, but not all of them are aimed at this market, you know, personal transport, not the commercial side. And there are a few other ones which we can talk about too, and as we kind of follow this one as well. But I don't know, I'm interested to see where this goes. Of course, you know, let us know in the comments below what you think about personal eVTOL transport. You know, we talk a lot about commercial stuff. What do you guys think about something that, you know, will just fold up and go in your garage?
Right.
What does that make you think? Cost, danger?
Well,
what do you think about that, guys? So,
that's a novel approach because it will cut down the time that these people need to actually get this thing certified for. Because if you take it on as a kit, and you go and you maybe finish up the last, I don't know, 30% of production with them, and that's how this thing gets certified. And then they say, oh, by the way, it's a.
So we say it's experimental rotorcraft.
Yeah, experimental rotorcraft, and that's the way you get it up in the air. And then here you are. Here's your sign off, and then.
You know,
you're good to go.
Use, no commercial, within I don't know, whatever it is.
Now the hard part is getting your helicopter pilot's license in order to be able to fly this thing because we've already got those in our back pockets.
That's.
Wait, see now.
So yeah,
it could be attractive. I mean, I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what's. It could be attractive in in the marketplace. It's definitely a good looking aircraft. I mean, I'd fly it.
It looks pretty decent. Yeah.
I'd fly it. I mean, I'd throw myself up there, but I guess I would have to see what it does in the long term. So anyhow, let us know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, follow. Let us know what you guys think of the vision of the Air One from AirEV. Yep. Pretty interesting.
Awesome.
All right, David had another.
Comments?
David had more comments in there. So think about it. How many years have people been saying Apple is stagnant and they are growing? What's another way to get... No, that is a great opinion there. And then David Rainbow, because we seem to attract Davids here in this channel, is the Tesla third quarter earnings this evening. Food for thought.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I did see that, so I'm going to try to be able to at least see what happens out of that with the earnings call. But also, you're the Apple guy, but I have been seeing that Apple's kind of...
The Apple guy. You make it sound so negative.
Stagnated, and then not as much innovation as they have done in the past, let's say. So,
all right. So look, right now Tesla's trading at 865 and 42. I'm imagining their earnings are going to be pretty good. And their market cap is, what is it? $86 billion, right? 86.7, right? one of the other things that I'm looking at right now is Apple and their stagnation. But here's the one thing that people forget. Their market cap is $2.4 trillion.
Oh yeah,
okay,
they're still super valuable.
They're still super valuable, and back when companies used to grow through just acquisitions, merger and acquisitions, that is something that I think if you put $1,000 on Apple back in like 1986, right now you would have $1.2 billion. Is what that basically comes down to. You would have been a billionaire already. And that's if you held on to it and didn't sell between the multiple splits and whatnot that they have. Value is everything, and I think that I don't know if it's risky for Apple to do it or not, but I can see that people are worried about how Apple's going to expand. But Apple expands in a very different way, where they go in and they give you small modifications and oversell it to you as what you need. But then again, every tech company has adapted the same strategy to a point. They just might deliver a little bit more at the same time, maybe. Or you're not going to touch
There's a lot
that.
of, and it goes not just with Apple, but there's a lot to say about just perception.
Right.
Apple's very good at packaging and the perception, whether you think it's true or not, the perception of quality and premium. And they're great at that.
Mm-hmm.
And they also are really good at, as we said before, their ecosystem. They're good at making products that work well with their products.
Right.
Which in turn says, if you buy one and like it, hey, you need to get that one because it works really well with this. Oh, but that's Apple too.
No, yeah,
This is the way it is.
That is the way it is.
So they're really good at that. So, and of course, that's just devices.
Well, the other part is personally eVTOL's 15 years from now, and I think Tesla stock will sell off after earnings. And there could be the potential for them to have a sell-off right about now because, some of the damaging news is Cybertruck's not ready. They pulled it from the website, so that's another thing that they got to do a little damage con on.
Yep. So
and the other one is they've got their big heavy lifter truck is not really doing anything yet. So it's not out in the marketplace. So there's a couple places where they're going to falter and they're going to have their problems. So let's see if they
see what
pull
Elon
away.
says.
But again, does anybody really need a $1,300 cell phone right now, or a $1,500 iPad? No. Okay. In technology and what we're really doing today, we're on the forefront of technology. Where if you can afford those devices, you're very lucky. You're fortunate, and they're technically not necessary for life. So we've embedded ourselves in these advanced cycles of technology upgrades, updates, and things that are out there in the marketplace, which give us a perceived value. But however, we all kind of know deep down inside that the value still is they're just computer chips, glass, and pieces that give us the creature comfort to help us enjoy parts of our life. That's the reality of it. But everybody's taking advantage of that at this point. So, these technology advanced companies are really pushing out some great products.
Yep.
But, will there come a point where they're too expensive for consumers to afford, or that they do so much that people reject them, that they're just not as user-friendly anymore? Or will they come to the point where people like now on social media are starting to realize that all this power with us all the time takes away from life and its ability to enjoy it? So who knows? I don't know.
Yep.
We're not here to answer those questions. We're just here to find out if it's going to make money.
And ask you guys what you think.
Yeah, there you
Put
go.
in the comments. Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
all right. So let us know in the comments below what you guys think. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.
The multiple of Davids out there that have been watching recently and
yes,
commenting.
Thank you guys.
And propelling the show and keeping us growing and fresh new ideas and thought processes. Thank you so much, guys. We appreciate the comments, and we'll get back to you again with another show tomorrow.
Yeah. Take it easy.
Peace.
See ya.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Later.
Bye.
Bye. Boom, 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 boom.
Take it out, Harris.
Mr. Harris Heller. So much. Thank you.
Yes, the earnings call must.
What time does that start tonight?
I remember hearing about it, and
We'll check it out. Let's see if David's right. We'll find out tomorrow. We'll see what the margin call is gonna. Well, not the margin call. We'll see what the market does tomorrow. What everybody does. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. We'll catch you real soon. Take care. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Later.